Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Part of my job here, my humble responsibility is to watch corporate media so you don't have to and report their propaganda. As they say, no, keep your enemies close. Now, I have seen a lot of shit, but I had CNN on uh, the other day, and let me tell you, it was a rapid fire, stunning array of gaslighting and propaganda in just 120 seconds. That would be 2 minutes. I hope you're on full stomach, or what do they say? Not an empty stomach. You're sitting down, buckle up. Let's show you the first part of this stunning propaganda and gaslighting that occurred over the course of 120 seconds.
And the U.S. labor market closed out 2023 real strong. The December jobs report just out this morning, kicking butt, beating expectations once again.
And the new jobs numbers are out. 216,000 jobs, once again beating expectations. The economy that keeps on giving. Joining me now is Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Madam Secretary, thank you so much for being with us. We keep saying beating expectations, beating expectations. Why do people keep underestimating this economy?
As you mentioned, we're beginning to see that in surveys. I believe if this is maintained over the next year, as I fully hope and expect it will be, that Americans will feel good. They're spending in ways that suggest they're happy with their financial circumstances. We're seeing a huge number of new businesses being formed, that an investment in American businesses that suggests confidence in the future of the economy. I think those are all good signs. And it is very rare to bring down inflation as much as we have without seeing a weakening in the job market. But we have 23 months in a row unemployment under 40%. Haven't seen that in 50 years.
So the soft landing, did it happen?
What we're seeing now, I think we can describe as a soft landing, and my hope is that it will continue.
So you did it.
Well, the American people did it.
Oh. Let me tell you something. By the way, John Berman, CNN anchor with a net worth of $5 million. Janet Yellen, let's take a look here. Net worth of Janet Yellen is 20 million. So glad to hear about the economy from fellow millionaires, CNN anchor and the Treasury Secretary. Let's rewind here. Economy's kicking butt, the CNN anchor says. The other CNN anchor says the economy that keeps on giving. Please let me know in the comments. What is it giving you? What is this economy giving you? Please let us know down in the comments. By the way, you could leave super chats in the comments now on YouTube. Welcome. Why do people keep underestimating the economy? John Berman asks. Then, as he's fluffing the Treasury Secretary's pillow, and, totally giving her a softball interview, he says, so you did it, meaning the soft landing to avoid a recession. No, John, the American people did it, says the Treasury Secretary. This is all, by the way, over the jobs report. I believe it was 216,000 jobs added. Let me make sure I got that job report. 216,000 jobs added. Unemployment remains down at 3.7%. Apparently, that is, we might as well be in the golden era of the economy. Everybody is just doing dandy, right? Well, that's only according to the millionaires that are the gatekeepers and push the propaganda on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, CNBC, New York Times, Washington Post. If you want more nauseating cheerleading over this supposedly grand economy, Paul Krugman for the New York Times. Dude, where's my recession? In 2023, we gained 2.7 million jobs and saw inflation plunge with no significant rise in unemployment. Doomsayers should be engaging in some significant soul searching. Everybody's kicking butt. Everybody's kicking butt. People can afford vacations, 3 cars in their driveways, a yacht. Oh my God. They could hey, you could probably afford your own personal nurse or shoe shiner, right? Well, here's the actual economy that these liars and grifters don't want you to know about. That would be 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That would be homelessness in America rose 12% in the year 2023. Tens of thousands more people in the U.S. were homeless in 2023 compared with 2022, as high costs of living pushed some of the most vulnerable Americans into shelters and the streets. Homelessness shot up by more than 12% this year, reaching 653,104 people. What a strong, booming economy. And then, of course, wealth distribution in the United States. This is in 2023. In the third quarter of 2023, 66.6%, so we could round it to 67%, of the total wealth in the U.S. was owned by the top 10% of earners. In comparison, the lowest 50% of earners owned just 2.6% of total wealth. And of course, if you want a real bar of our wonderful, booming, strong economy, here's your wonderful, booming, strong economy. There's the blue line, the grand bank robbery of the last 40 years. John Berman and Janet Yellen and Paul Krugman and all the rest stealing your labor and money, as everybody else right down there, the yellow line, scrounges for the crumbs. It's just truly unbelievable, the sheer gall and gaslighting of these people. And the truth is, in a way, it would be more acceptable if they knew they were lying. But I actually think they genuinely think this. I actually believe the makeup stuffed PR pretend journalists that are actually just public relations people for corporate America that put on makeup and a suit and are blessed as journalists. I actually think they believe this because they just see numbers. Well, 3.8% unemployment. Oh, 216,000 jobs. Hey, even though the jobs are mostly mostly non-living wage jobs, even though, I don't know, 40, 50% now are working more than one job. Gee, I don't know. Even though the minimum wage hasn't been raised, the federal minimum wage hasn't been raised in now 15 years in America. Oh, gee, even though people are having to spend more on their health care, even though, in addition to most people living paycheck to paycheck, so many families are having to make tough choices between medicine or groceries, the electric bill or utilities. But at least we have more jobs, even if they're shit jobs. Hey, at least we have a stock market growing, right? GDP's going up, even though a lot of that GDP has to do with the defense industry and other non-virtuous industries doing well. There's really something very sick when the truth has been hijacked by corporate America and the media and journalism has been hijacked by corporate America. But because all these networks have such a nice, lavish marketing budget, it's all sprinkled with commercials about fighting to save democracy, or the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness, or the New York Times, paper of record, and on we go. And then, frankly, journalism students are taught a lot of bullshit and actually taught to believe these ghouls are actually the truth tellers. But we're not done, because if you clock that, that was only a minute and 40 seconds. There's another 20 seconds of this gaslighting that all happened within 2 minutes on CNN Friday morning. You ready? Okay.
The primaries have not even begun, but you could make the case that today is the first day of the general election. President Biden delivers what his campaign is billing as a major speech on democracy near Valley Forge in Pennsylvania, which is, of course, where George Washington led colonial troops in the revolution against the tyranny of the British.
The primary might not be over, but today might be the first day of the general election. Well, wait. How could the primary not be over if the primary never began, considering you, CNN, basically canceled the primary? That's right. You helping the DNC to attack democracy and pretend there is no Democratic primary. Pretend there are no other candidates challenging Biden. They haven't covered Marianne Williamson. They barely covered RFK when he was running in the Democratic primary. As far as I know, they haven't had on Marianne Williamson. They gave Chris Christie, who was polling at like 1%, a town hall. They gave Nikki Haley back in the day and this week a town hall, which she was polling lower than Marianne Williamson and RFK. They've given candidate after candidate after candidate on the Republican side who was polling lower than Marianne Williamson and RFK 1-hour infomercials where they barely were challenged by CNN journalists, but they wouldn't give it for Marianne Williamson and RFK. RFK is not my cup of tea, but by the polling, he should have got more coverage and opportunities on CNN than low polling GOP ghouls. But CNN, in service of President Biden and the DNC and the Democratic Party, chose to pretend there was no primary. And now they're just moving on to the general election. It's called manufacturing consent for a reason. They're also, on the GOP side, it does look like Trump is going to win, but their framing is basically declaring the Republican primary over. Well, polls this week had Nikki Haley within 10 points of Donald Trump in New Hampshire. That's one poll. Other polls show Trump up significantly more, but kind of premature to frame it as the first day of the general election with a picture of Biden and Trump when some polls are showing New Hampshire is competitive. And if Haley had an upset in New Hampshire, who knows from there? Who made CNN or these other networks the authority on when the general election starts or when the primary ends? Isn't that up to the voters? But wait, CNN hasn't even covered the fact that Florida, North Carolina, and several other states now are not holding Democratic primaries. They're only allowing Joe Biden on the ballot. And these networks have the gall to shriek about attacks on democracy when they are complicit in erasing democracy, when they are complicit on this charade that we even have one. That's why I call it the United Corporations of America. And CNN is in on the racket. What a stunning array of gaslighting in just 120 seconds.